I'm Juana Manahan Yupanco and welcome to my kitchen. And today we're going to be making an Upo Lasagna. So this is one of the many recipes that's available on my website, messanymrs.com. Messanymrs is a website full of recipes using local native vegetables. The reason that I focus on using local native vegetables is because it's cheaper, it's healthier, and it helps out our local farmers. We're actually coming out with a cookbook published, of course, by ABS-CBN, so look out for that. But for the meantime, you can get the recipe for the Upo Lasagna that I'm making today on messanymrs.com. So you start with an Upo. This is Upo, or called bottled gourd. It's cheap most of the year, unless there's a big flood or a big storm. It's quite affordable, between 50 to 70 pesos for something this size. We're going to use the Upo to make the noodles instead of using lasagna. So this is completely vegan, keto, I think. And yeah, it's delicious, it's cheap, it's easy to make. So you're going to start with the whole Upo. This is what it looks like before, and you just need to peel it. The trick here is slicing it as thin as possible. Sometimes, like, I've been able to do this using a mandolin, but it's tricky to do that. So I prefer to get a sharp knife and cut it straight down the side. I thought about making this one day. I was looking, when I was coming up with recipes for the website and for the cookbook, I was thinking, you know, there's a lot of vegetable lasagnas, but they make use of zucchini and eggplant and other stuff like that. What could I possibly use that's local and a little bit cheaper? And one day we were fixing lunch and I saw an Upo and experimented with it to see if I can make noodles. So you'll see that there's seeds here. Sometimes the seeds are big, sometimes they're small. Okay. So when you're plating this, sometimes it falls apart because all the stuff is really squidgy inside, but the Upo is nice and firm inside. I wish you could smell it. It smells really good. This is our Upo Lasagna by Messanymrs. Check out the recipe on messanymrs.com. And it can freeze quite well. So you continue cutting the Upo in thin slices. So you'll have a few pieces that'll turn out like this, like with holes in them. So when it comes to layering, just make sure to put something like that right under it to cover it up. So now that I finished making the noodles for the Upo, I'm going to take these, the seeds, and I'm going to turn them into a stock. So all the peelings, all the seeds, all the cores of vegetables and fruit, we turn into stock, and I mix it with a few teaspoons of nutritional yeast and wakame, which is Japanese seaweed, which gives it that extra umami. I mix that with sauces. Sometimes I serve it to the kids just as a broth because our family is plant-based and we need to supplement with vitamin B12, and you'll get that in the nutritional yeast. So it's just something nice to have for the kids when they eat. So we're gonna build the lasagna the way that you do any other lasagna, but instead of the lasagna pasta, we're using our Upo, our sliced Upo. So these are the fillings. We're filling it with my kangkong pesto. The recipe is in the website along with the whole recipe for Upo Lasagna. My hummus, and with tomato sauce. So just to keep things easier, during this ECQ, bought a ton of canned tomatoes and we use it in everything, soup, sauces, you name it. And today we're using vegan cheese to top it off, but normally the recipe calls for cashew cheese, and that's made, we make it ourselves, and that is also in the recipe. So that's made of soaked cashew, nutritional yeast, a little bit of water and salt, but wasn't able to find cashews during this lockdown, but we do have a lot of our vegan cheese. That's also really, really yummy. So we'll start layering. I'm gonna come here and see. building our lasagna. You can put the ones with the butas, the bottom, to hide stuff. So. Hummus is something we have at home all the time because my husband Rick eats it with absolutely everything. He'll have with toast, sometimes with rice, sometimes with salad, but it's really a staple in our home. It's super healthy and filling. So there's a couple ways to build this lasagna. Sometimes what we do is to do alternating layers. So like you'll do the hummus and then the pesto and then the tomato sauce. But today, because our upos are running a little bit small, I'm gonna put the 3 sauces one on top of each other. And it's really a matter of preference, but in the end, it's all gonna be like one gooey, yummy mess. So, but today we're gonna layer. So this is kangkong pesto. Basil is a little bit expensive, not always easy to find. Kangkong, however, is available all year round, and this is made the same, very similar to how you'd make like your regular basil pesto, but using kangkong. So you can have this in your fridge all the time. And since we make it using olive oil, it can keep in your fridge, and you can put that on anything. So these are really 3 staples that I have all the time, and I decided to put them together, and it turned out really well. And lastly, we have our tomato sauce. I think what I opened today were like the flame roasted tomatoes, so that's really good. It gives it extra smoky taste. You can eat this lasagna by itself or with a side of an actual pasta. It's up to you if you're watching your carbs or not. The trick is just to mix it all like this, spread it. Okay, now I'm gonna stick it in the oven. Ooh, hot. Okay, so that's gonna sit there for about 40 to 45 minutes, and we'll check on it in a while. So we'll take a peek at the lasagna. That's the liquid that I was talking about that's coming out of the upo, but as it cooks, that's going to evaporate. Okay, it's been about 35-40 minutes, so we're gonna check on the upo lasagna. Look at that. Looks good. Cheese is a little dark, but it is bubbling. Looks good and smells good. So you can see all the water evaporated, and this is all what's left on top is the stuff from the cheese. So it's a little bit of oil because it's made of cashew cheese. So when you're plating this, sometimes it falls apart because all the stuff is really squidgy inside, but the upo is nice and firm inside. I wish you could smell it. It smells really good. This is our Upo Lasagna by Mess and Mrs. Check out the recipe on messandymrs.com.